Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, February 7th. You know what that means, friends? It's time for us to get into all the latest cannabis policy and science news. And I'm going to answer your burning questions live. Let's see how that goes. All right, let's see. Hey, Nick, thanks for being there so early and for checking on us. We did have a little power outage here at the office that crashed our entire system. So, here we are on a laptop and getting things done. William Boyd, listen, if there were ever a comment that just sums up the entirety of this. Is this not going live? Please go live. If there were ever a comment that summed it all up, it's this one right here. Elections, in fact, do have consequences, William, and a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. That just sums it all up perfectly. Where are you watching from? Hey, Brady, we're okay now. We weren't okay. Now we're okay. Happy Friday. Amy, thank you for joining us. Hey, John. I mean, we're on time enough, right? Hey, Woodyard, welcome back. Amy, I'm just going to call you Amy because I see what your name is. But, that's what we're going to be today. You just got your doctor certification. Great. I'm so happy for you that happened. Hey, Fred, good to see you. Bratty, come on now. Oh, William, you're in Ohio. We're going to talk about Ohio today for sure. That is one of our top stories. Hey, Sherry, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Yours was the first name I saw pop up on Instagram. I'm glad you're here. Hey, wherever you're watching from, first of all, thank you. Hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. And hey, drop a note in the comments and let me know where you're watching from. And also, if you have any questions, any burning questions. Oh, hey, One Hope in Texas. Jess. Hey, Jess in Texas. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Mams. Hey, Tree. Trees in North Carolina. Glad you're back. Mams, I keep trying to reach for the mouse. That's for that computer, not this one. Ma'am says, love to see you doing great work during the Virginia General Assembly session. Glad Senate and House are pushing Youngkin's hand. I know what you're talking about. We'll talk a little bit about that bill as well. There was a whole piece that VPM did that was honestly a surprise to me. I didn't know anyone was really paying attention to that bill, but it was fun. Hey, Holistic in Richmond, California. Hey, Soulshine in Missouri. Aloha, Coco in Honolulu. And hey, Rastaman in Lehigh Valley. Hey, CSBA in Manassas. Mike in Delaware. Welcome. Rob in Vermont. Tom in Mississippi. Oh, okay, Nick. I see what you're talking about. Did I not say Mississippi, Soulshine? Did I say Missouri? It's the end of the day. What can I say? My tie is over there. I took it off because I'm done. That's where my tie is. Here you go, everyone. You can see. It's over there. Hey, Jeremy. Welcome back. Okay. This is going to be... I can see the computer behind this is now working, but it's too late for that. We're going to do this weird tiny laptop thing instead. We'll see how this goes. So there are a few things that let's get into that. Let's just do Virginia first, because Sherry asked a question about Virginia. I don't know if this is going to let me paste it the way I want to, but we'll find out. Here's the keyboard for the other computer. Are we working today? We are working today. Good job. Okay. So if you've been paying attention to Virginia, you might have noticed that the House and the Senate have each approved their own bill. These bills are identical, but there's a bill in each chamber to regulate retail sales for adult use in Virginia. And both of those bills succeeded in their chamber of origin. So the Senate bill succeeded in the Senate, crossed over to the House. House bill succeeded in the House, crossed over to the Senate. They're identical. They're going to stay identical. They're moving forward. Now, what happened in the beginning of session is the governor gives his State of the Commonwealth address. And in his State of the Commonwealth address, he recycled some of his quips from last year during the end of last session when he vetoed the adult use retail sales bills, indicating that he does intend to veto these bills again. So that's what's up with Virginia. Yes, the adult use retail bills are going to succeed. Yes, they are going to go to the governor's desk. And yes, he's indicated that he intends to veto them again. So to that, I will tell you, Virginia, that you have an election in November. Now, you can vote wisely and you can elect a governor who will not have their head in the sand on cannabis policy, or you can have 4 more years of the same. You can have adult use in this next administration, or if you don't vote wisely, Virginia, your next shot at adult use retail will be 2030. Just let that sink in. Anyhow, that's what's up. Brady's obviously not reading too much about Virginia if you just got one, but I love that for you. I love that. I mean, you're not in Virginia, so that's fair. Oh, hey, whoever you are, hold on, we gotta ban this clown show real quick. So I know, Mike, right? Darn that governor, ADHD grower. I second your comment, even if I can't read it. So let's see. Let me check out some other. Let me squint because I'm on the tiniest laptop in America, reading 3 different tabs. Hey, Jess in Texas. Okay, so Jess in Texas is concerned about the legislation. I'm sorry, this is on Instagram, and this platform doesn't let me show Instagram comments, but I can read them. So Jess is in Texas and is concerned about the legislation that's pending in that state to rein in these unregulated, quote, hemp products that have intoxicating levels of cannabinoids in them. Jess, that may happen. It's happening in many states. Clearly that was not the intent of the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, the Farm Bill. Clearly was not the intent of the Farm Bill, but it's created these perceived loopholes, and states are taking action to close them. So if that were to happen in Texas, Jess, it's not going to apply to your medical cannabis program. It's about other unregulated products. Hey, Coco, I know we all sighed when we got another year of the same in Hawaii, where the legislature chose to kick the legalization can down the road for yet another year. That's what's happening in Virginia to some degree, though Virginia is a little bit ahead of Hawaii on this, having at least legalized adult use, just no retail sales. It is disappointing. Hey, Cinnamon, let me see your comment. Cinnamon asks, how can I challenge federal law pertaining to the maritime industry? When you have health conditions that fall under the ADA, I'm in New York. I worked in New Jersey where I was terminated for cannabis use. So, listen, for federal law, you've got to elect better people to Congress. For state law, that can be significantly easier to enshrine employment protections, particularly for medical cannabis users, but it may not apply to federal employees. So there's a lot of nuance there, but you're welcome to reach out to us. You can always email me directly at let's pick one. Let's do chapters at normal.org. Coco, thank you. There's a second review in Hawaii next Friday, but are we still expecting the same? Thank you. Coco. Yeah, Coco says, not sure I understand why the second look, but fingers crossed. This is for Hawaii. Same. Hey, ADHD Grower is in Virginia, and they are asking a question. They are asking, there's a couple of wellness shops in my area of the state that sell legal weed. How? It's not. The only legal retail sales in Virginia are through licensed medical cannabis dispensaries. Everything else you see is completely unregulated. You really have no idea what's in it. There are some really loose regulations that pertain to hemp products intended for human consumption in Virginia, but they are not particularly, they're not enforced. We'll just call it, they're not enforced. I don't know why I'm tiptoeing around this, pretending to play games. Let's call it what it is. You have no idea what you're getting. It's very much a buyer beware marketplace. Now, when it comes to stuff where it's like THCA flower, that's weed. That's weed. Calling it something else doesn't make it not weed. It's weed. You're welcome. Cinnamon, you're welcome. Yeah, you can tell me more about it, and yeah, it doesn't matter what they label it. Delta 8, Delta 9 is weed. Delta 9 is what THC decarboxylates into. 10 or CBD. Yeah, it's just illegal products generally. I hope that person got banned because I don't want to see that. Doctor, congratulations on your license. Good job. Hey, Mr. Truffs. Hello. We'll see you. Jeremy says we need Republican pressure from within the party. And listen, I don't disagree with you on that, Jeremy. It just doesn't really seem to be how that party works. Calvin, you'll need to tell me what those bills are. Please tell me what in Kentucky what those bills are. What's on the agenda? This is on the agenda. Gross. Thank you. I'm glad you like that analogy. Trying to catch up on the comments. So let's see. Jeremy, thank you. I'm glad you're going to change that for Virginia. Appreciate it. Let's get into some more news here. So we talked about Virginia, and now let's talk about Ohio. I mentioned there was some nonsense going on there, and oh, there sure is. Okay, let's see if I can post that. There we go. Hey, David, good to see you. Okay. In Ohio, some Republican lawmakers are, again, trying to roll back the state's voter-approved legalization law. And the proposed changes this time around include raising taxes on retail sales of cannabis products, imposing new restrictions on home cultivation of cannabis, setting an arbitrary limit on the total number of retailers allowed statewide, and providing new penalties for adults who share their cannabis with other adult consumers. Those are just the top 4 we chose to highlight in this legislation. You can read this on the NORML blog, and you can take action if you are in Ohio. Let's see if I know how to spell normal. You can head to the NORML Take Action Center, which is at norml.org/act. And there are action alerts on that page for a number of states. And I'm going to find this one for Ohio. Here we go. I found it. If you are in Ohio, please, first of all, please take this action alert. You will now see, if you're watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook, you should see this in the comments. I'm sorry, Instagram, I can't share the link for you. I mean, I could, but it would just be text. But you can go to norml.org/act. If you are in Ohio, or if you know people in Ohio, please submit this action alert. Respect the will of the voters and leave issue 2 alone. So far, we are just shy of 13,000 letters having been sent. Right now, it is 12,838 letters have been sent. So if you've already sent this, send it again. Best thing to do is just change the subject line. You can edit the email that goes out if you want, or you can leave it the same. Changing the subject line is a really good tactic, though, if you want to send the same email more than once through one of these automated systems. So please do that. Can we compare? I want to see your okay, let me see your question here. Richard's asking, can we compare Virginia versus Tennessee and its new cannabis law? Well, medical and adult use are legal in Virginia. Virginia has an operational medical cannabis program. Virginia does not have yet operational retail sales for adult use cannabis. And then there's Tennessee. I'm not I want to know what comparison you want. Tennessee, you got nothing. You got just nothing. I mean, I guess you have one of the most restrictive medical cannabis programs in the nation. I don't think we would really even qualify it as that, to be clear. I'm scrolling through to see what exactly it is that's permitted in Tennessee. That's the comparison there. Tennessee has a medical CBD/low THC law, where you can possess cannabis oil containing no more than 0.9% or less THC. Okay. That's special. Okay. That's a thing. So there's my comparison for you. Hey, Johnny, I see your comments. see some comments on Instagram. Sorry, I'm catching up. See your comments, Coco. Hey, Coco says, I just learned that North Carolina has zero cannabis legalization except on reservation land. Yes, that is accurate. Tribal lands are sovereign. They are allowed to make their own laws. And they did that. They legalized cannabis in that, it's called the Qualla boundary. So yeah, you can be a patient and you can go to the dispensary that's on the reservation in North Carolina. But then once you leave the reservation, you know how that goes. Okay, let's see. Please talk about Maine. What am I talking about Maine, Coco? Hey, the Pet Way on Instagram says they just made a proposal in Tennessee to legalize marijuana called Pot for Potholes. Okay. I'm sure the conservative legislature will be all over that. Johnny says, I'm in Cincinnati and was going to ask if these new market voids were political or natural disaster related. The political. Great. I don't know what happened in Maine, Coco, so you'll need to give me more information. We do know how that goes, right? Okay. Now I'll get back to this. Colin, was that... Which one was 947? And thanks. Was it the... I'm going to look and see. So we did kill some really, really, really shitty legislation in Virginia. Like, really bad. Like, really bad. You're welcome. Okay, so... yeah. SB 947 was the bill to... We've seen legislation like this every year since these laws were first enacted. So there are laws in Virginia that prohibit law enforcement from stopping, searching, or seizing a person, place, or thing based solely on the odor of marijuana. Solely is key. And if law enforcement were to do that, any evidence they collected would not be admissible in court because it's not permitted. And we killed this bill again. We've killed this bill and these bills every year that they have been up since these provisions were enacted. They were up again this year, and we killed it. You're welcome. Thanks. Oh, that's not the right thing for this. Thanks for noticing, Colin. Richard, if you're talking about Tennessee, no. If you're talking about Virginia, yes, there's adult use, but it's been in effect for some time. No, Brady, I have not covered anything out of Georgia because it's Georgia and y'all aren't doing anything. What about, Nick, tell me more about the governor's budget. Is that how they're trying to advance adult use now? Tell me more. I saw a quick thing today about Pennsylvania, but I didn't get a chance to get into it. Okay. Jeremy, I like that. I like that comment. Oh, thank you, Coco, for explaining about in Maine there were certificates of authenticity that were withheld. That sounds creepy. David, I see your comment about that senator and whoops. I mean, I work with them on a lot of things, and this one's not it. I hope Georgia's doing something. Brady, have you seen a bill for that? Brady says, I thought Georgia was expanding their medical, including flower. Have you seen that bill? Does it exist? Has it been filed? Howdy, David in Texas. Ugh. I mean, ADHD grower, yes, adult use is legal in Virginia. It just, there's the retail component is missing. Okay, you all have great questions today. That's great. I love it. All right, let's talk about Texas. There's going to be good news coming eventually. We just have to get through all this not great stuff first. Sorry, it's almost like elections have consequences. Here's where we are. Okay, so you may recall that in November, there were some elections, including local elections. And the two Texas cities, Bastrop and Lockhart, well, other cities as well, but we're just going to talk about Bastrop and Lockhart right now. Those two cities, voters there passed measures, approved measures that would sort of depenalize marijuana possession within the city's jurisdiction. It would essentially make marijuana possession the lowest priority for law enforcement. There are a number of localities in Texas that have adopted similar measures that have been put forth by a great advocacy group called Ground Game Texas. And so Bastrop and Lockhart were two of the more recent cities to approve in which voters approved these measures. Now here we are, and City Council has decided, no, thank you, we're not going to enact that. Voters approved these ballot measures. They went to vote. It was there. They said, yes, do this. And then City Council said, like, maybe not. It's insane. Dallas had it on the ballot as well. And so the decisions of these city council members come on the heels of legal actions taken by the state's attorney general, Ken Paxton, who sued city officials in Dallas for implementing a similar ordinance. Ken's trying to sue every municipality that enacts this. There are several additional Texas cities, including Austin, that have similar measures. And although the AG has filed suit against several of these cities, his office has been unsuccessful in winning judgments against them. So, neat, Texas. Neat. ADHD grower on Instagram. I will answer your question, even though the M in NORML stands for marijuana, not mushrooms, but it's not. Your question is about mushrooms in Virginia, and they're not permissible other than the kind you get at the grocery store. Senator Ghazala Hashmi does have, a psilocybin bill. This year, she had it last year as well. And if it makes it to the governor's desk, I'm sure he'll veto it. Cocoa, Georgia does have medical cannabis, no adult use, no ballot measure option. But Georgia's medical cannabis program is very limited. It's extraction based only, and there are not a large number of dispensaries in the state. Yeah, I know they sell them everywhere. ADHD, I've seen it. Oh, Don't you, insulin? Isn't that trying to use the mouse for the other computer on this one? Not going to work. Insulin says, I love when elected officials just ignore their constituents. Isn't it cute? Stop voting for these people, you all. Oops, okay. All right. Let's go back over here to this other computer and read the news. Okay, here's some good news. Good news. In Missouri. Remember when Missouri legalized marijuana a while ago? Of course you do. Well, part of their legalization initiative in Missouri included expungement. And so in 2022, voters approved an initiative legalizing adult use cannabis, and provisions in that law called for courts to automatically review and vacate any eligible marijuana-related convictions. Now, let's see. Since then, courts have reviewed over 307,000 cases, and about 46% of them have been deemed eligible, resulting in over 140,000 expungements to date. Now, courts in several counties are reviewing paper records to identify additional cases that are eligible for this expungement relief. So good job, Missouri, for doing what you're supposed to do, which is expunging convictions. And then we've got one more little news for you here. And this is the one where you all say, yeah, no kidding. Because I love to give you at least one of those a week. There is a new study out that we covered this week in NORML News. And in it, the study authors conclude that, here's what they say. They say, we found that medical marijuana was comparatively more effective than prescription medication treatment for chronic pain. Let me put on my surprise face. What is happening? What? You all have your own conversations in the chat, and it's hilarious. David, I see your comment on Instagram. Let me read this. David on Instagram says, if Democrats get a trifecta in Virginia, do I think a more progressive retail sales bill will be put up, or will the appease the Republicans thing still be in play? Okay, so this is something I can't answer. It's going to be similar to what you've seen before. I would recommend rewinding back from this session, back from the one before, to like 23. Because we largely had the same bills in 21, 22, and 23 when it came to adult use. So I would think that we would be taking more of that approach as opposed to some of this really convoluted stuff that's in the latest iteration, a lot of which was drafted by a Republican lobbyist. Now, Delegate Krizak has recently made some on-the-record statements. He's carrying the adult use retail sales bill in the House for Virginia. He's made some comments about wanting to maybe get back to the original allocation of tax revenue, where in the first iteration, second and third, a heavy percentage of adult use retail cannabis tax in Virginia would have gone to pre-K, because Virginia does not have universal pre-K. So I think you can see, I would expect to see a smarter bill in 2026. And also David says like 450 small growers instead of 50. Here's the thing, David. Whatever that number is, it doesn't matter. We have a legislative session every year in Virginia. So when you see numbers that are like, oh, there's only going to be this many of something, that is about providing emotional comfort to the people who are voting on the bill. And this is not just true for Virginia. This is true for anywhere. Unless you are enshrining a number in your constitution or in some other way, codifying a number that can't be changed for some reason. Most states, except for you, Texas, most states have a legislative session every year, and that gives you the opportunity to change those numbers every single year. So definitely don't spend too much time fixating on that. They just really don't matter. But yes, there will be tiers again for lower entry for smaller businesses, higher entry for bigger businesses. All right, let me get back into some of these other questions that I've seen pop up from Facebook and YouTube. Can't show that. Okay, I'm not going to read those out loud, but you all are having a blast, and I love that for you. Let me tell you about some events that are coming up. And also, let me tell you this. If you have a NORML chapter and you have an event and I'm not sharing it, it's because you didn't share it with us. So if I don't know that you're having an event, I can't tell all of our friends about it. So tell me, or at least put NORML in the title of your event. So when I search on Facebook, it comes up. Cool. All right, coming up on February 20th. Wait, I copied that. Let's see if I can paste it. Oh, and have all of my comments only been going to YouTube for the entirety of the show? I love that. That's great. Listen, if you want to read any of these stories, you can just go to norml.org. Better yet, I can email them to you. I can send all of them to your inbox tomorrow morning. Just go to norml.org/subscribe. Put in your email and your zip code, and then make sure you check the weekend weed read box. That way you never miss an edition of it. NORML News comes out on Thursday, and the weekend weed read comes out on Saturdays. So all of these stories that I'm talking about today, you can find them on the front page of NORML. You can find them in the NORML News section, and you can find them in your inbox when you subscribe to NORML News. So do that. All right, back to the events that are coming up. On the 20th of February, Wyoming NORML, one of their board members, will be doing a live stream. We'll be doing a live stream called It's 420 Wyoming. This is at 4:20 p.m. Mountain Time on February 20th. You can find that on Facebook. There we go. Coming up in March. Is it working? It's working. I'm doing it. Coming up in March is the 2025 Kentucky Cannabis Conference and Expo. This is March 14th and 15th in Kentucky. And you can find that on the Kentucky NORML website at kynorml.org. And then Jacob, I just talked about Texas. Jacob says, what can we do about Texas counties rejecting our vote to decriminalize because Governor Abbott is suing cities that do it? I'm glad you asked that question. Thank you. Give me 1 second to see if it's on the website yet. I keep adding this local section to the ACT page, and then it keeps disappearing. That's weird. So, yes, there is Jacob. Thank you for asking, Jacob. There is An action alert from Ground Game, Texas. I would tell you how to get there, but I have to look it up. I did see, I think it's on their Instagram. I was hoping it was going to be conveniently on their website, but it's not. It's not the front page of their website for some reason. And it's way too slow. So you can go to groundgametexas.org to find their Instagram. Jacob, I just know that I saw it on their Instagram. In fact, I shared their story to ours. I shared it to our story at NORML. But yeah, they have an action alert, Jacob, so you can use that to email your displeasure. I strongly recommend that. Okay, good. Thanks. And then I have, you're welcome, Jacob. I have one more event to tell you all about. This is the National Cannabis Festival. The National Cannabis Festival happens in Washington, D.C. every year. This year it is July 18th and 19th. And you can get tickets at nationalcannabisfestival.com. I've had the distinct pleasure of serving on the Advocacy Steering Committee since the inaugural National Cannabis Festival. And maybe we'll be there again this year. We'll see. But yeah, get your tickets. You guys are hilarious. Okay, we did it. We did all the news. I love that. If you haven't yet, listen, there's legislation pending around the country for the marijuanas. Some of them are good. Some of them are terrible. I killed a bunch of bills this year already. 1, 2, 3, three terrible bills. I feel like the Willy Wonka section where he's talking about the naughty children. 3 very naughty children. Not children, bills. In Virginia, we successfully defeated 4 bills. The bill about bringing back I Smell Weed for police officers, we defeated that in the Senate. There were 2 bills that wanted to strip employment protections. So we have medical and cannabis employment protections for Virginians. And there was legislation that wanted to make up an arbitrary, unscientific, essentially per se threshold for firing people who work in manufacturing and utilities. And this was going to be like over 424,000 Virginians would lose those medical cannabis employment protections if they just made up some number. And so, technically, could they do that? Technically, they already have the regulatory authority to make regulations, but they wanted the legislature to green light a faster path to doing so. And the legislature said, absolutely not, because there is no scientifically supported THC impairment standard. And I think this was shocking to some of the people involved in this when they thought they had smooth sailing, and I showed up, and then their bills died quickly. VPM wrote a whole article about it. That was fun. But look, I tell you this, not because someone in Ohio cares what bills we're killing in Virginia, but I tell you this so that you know that there are really jankety bills out there that are flying under the radar that are trying to take away your civil liberties. And oftentimes the only voice in the room opposing these insane measures is NORML. And that's what we have done so far. Virginia has a very short legislative session. So this is happening first. You're going to see all this action happen in Virginia before you're going to see most states even start their legislative sessions. But yeah, we killed 2 of those impairment standards bills, the odor bill. And then there was another bill that they thought they were being real cute, And there's sort of a legislative effort, bipartisan legislative effort in the state to say, hey, if you can't, if you're underage and you're trying to buy tobacco, you're going to get a penalty for it. You're going to get education, right? They want to have some sort of like, you can't do that. Here's what happens when you do. And then someone was like, oh, I'm going to jump on that wagon and I'm going to write a bill not only that talks about penalizing people under 21 who have tobacco or hemp. Let's go ahead and give them a class 1 misdemeanor. Class 1 misdemeanor is like up to 12 months in jail and a $2,500 fine. Do you think that's a little extreme? By the way, in Virginia, if you're under 21 and you are caught with marijuana, it's a $25 civil penalty. And they were like, yeah, let's make that a class 1 misdemeanor. They tried to sneak recriminalizing marijuana possession in this bill about tobacco and smoking tobacco and hemp underage. No, that bill didn't even get docketed. It was so bad. So it's not all big, sexy, shiny legalization bills. Sometimes it's, things that no one else is really thinking about. Sometimes it's bills about parental rights and bills to make sure that you can still get medical cannabis deliveries. Hi, Marcy. Good to see you, friend. Smoking in the boys' room. Now I'm going to be singing that song all night, Jeremy. Thanks. Kahan says, I wish Oregon would add worker protections. Do you mean employment protections for consumers or people who work in the cannabis industry? We're not an industry organization, so I'm going to assume that you mean employment protections for cannabis consumers. Whatever it is, yes, that should happen. Got to protect that property and not you. Okay. All right. I told you all the news. I did all the news. We did all the events that are coming up. High five. Tomorrow is when the weekend read comes out. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. See if I can post a little thing for you right there. Thank you for your sign of approval, Braddy. Appreciate that. It's been a blast, friends. I don't know what's in store for us next week, but if I'm not in a hearing, then I will do the show next Friday, and I'll tell you what's going on. Some more states are starting to. Hey, you're welcome, Queens. Some more states are starting to file bills. We are currently tracking 65 bills in NORML's Take Action Center. And then if your state has not legalized or decriminalized statewide, we have a generic action alert for you. This is going to be Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, North Dakota, despite your many votes, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming. We have an action alert for you that is not specific to a bill, so you can send at any point in time. And then for states that do not have an effective medical cannabis program, we have an action alert just for that in Idaho, Iowa, Georgia, Kansas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Wisconsin, Wyoming. Now, listen, I would argue that Texas has a pretty functional medical cannabis program, but there's definitely room for improvement and expansion. Georgia, same for you. And then we have all of the other states that that have pending bills, and that's 65 bills that we're tracking. So listen, if there's a bill in your state that you think really needs our attention for some reason, you are welcome to email us and let us know about it. A great address for that is policy@normal.org. Let us know if it's on your radar. Maybe it needs to be on ours as well. Hey, Queen Jane says New Jersey is still not allowed to grow. Right. Yes, there is not personal cultivation permitted in New Jersey. However, there is legislation in New Jersey that has been introduced. It's S1393 that would allow medical cannabis patients to home cultivate personal use quantities. So, right, sometimes it's not everything that we want. Sometimes you have to take a smaller step before you can take the bigger one. So I definitely would encourage you to see if I can paste this in here for you real quick. Queen Jane, I am sharing the link here for you. So I hope you see that. And yes, please feel free to email us. That is definitely something that we, if you're emailing policy@normal.org, it's going to go to Morgan. He's our political director. But that is definitely something we are well aware of being an issue in New Jersey and for people who live in New Jersey. So I'm glad I'm on your website. Thanks. Yeah, please share that with everyone. If you're in New Jersey, take action on that. And there are tons of, not tons, there's 65. There's 65 bills that we're tracking on our website. And take a look and see what we've got a number of adult use measures. We've got Hawaii, Indiana, Kentucky, New Hampshire, Texas, Tennessee, Virginia. This thing really is not updating properly. And then we've got medical bills in Florida, Hawaii, Indiana, New Jersey, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Virginia. We've got decrim in Kentucky, Mississippi, South Carolina, Wyoming. In personal cultivation, we have Florida, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Washington. There are a number of bills that we oppose, and then some other priorities as well. Like about banking and expungement, and I'm not sure why those are where they are. Anyhow, please, normal.org/act. Now is the time to take action and don't procrastinate it, because when these bills come up, they're up. And if you haven't gotten your email in, then you've missed the window. So make sure you're sending emails to your legislators. You can resend them more. You can send them more than once. You can send the same email. The trick for doing that is to change the subject line. That's really what you need to do. You can change words in the body of the email as well, but the best thing is to change the subject line so it doesn't just go in underneath your previous email. And that can be true for any of these. If you want your email to just stand out a little bit, you can just change the subject line. You could put constituent input, constituent request, please support this bill, please oppose this bill. It does not have to be the subject line that's already there. You can change it. That's it. That's what I got for you this week, friends. Thank you for hanging out with me, and thank you for all of your really amazing questions. That was great. I hope that we can do this show next week. So be sure you hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. I'm J.M. Padini, the development director at NORML. And as always, I will see you back here next week. Bye-bye.